Welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at a brand new game designed by Amabel Holland, and this is The Grass Crown from Hollandspiele Games. So this is Volume 2 from the Shields and Swords Ancients. So the first one was called With It or On It, which we played this year, last year? We played fairly recently, sure. We played it last year. I know for a fact we played it last year. So this is a two-player, Ancients, tactical, kind of battle line style game. This one employs wings, different wings and how they're going to maneuver together. So this includes 10 battles. And one of the nice things is this comes in a big old 2-inch box, which is the first time Hollandspiele's ever done that, as far as I know. They also, basically at the same time, released Horse and Musket Redux. I don't know if that originally came in a 2-incher, but it does now as well. So they've got a couple games that come in these big boxes, which is very, very nice. And I think we'll be able to amalgamate a number of things. So let's kind of see what we got in here. There'll be a map counters and that, right? So we got 2d8. So we've got 8-sided dice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that we get. We have a sheet of terrain counters. And this is something that's new. I don't believe there were any in With It or On It. So this already gives us some different tactical flexibility within the scenarios themselves. And these are, they use Blue Panther as their publisher, so these are the really thick boards, which is really nice for our little terrain counters. So we've got these, and they're dual-sided, so on one side it looks like we have, well, kind of some, like a redoubt, or kind of some kind of military crest. And then we got some trees and or some rivers, I think, is what that's supposed to be. And it looks like we got a number of other markers up here as well, which I'm not quite sure whether I think those are a new thing. I don't remember. Oh, unless that's the new. That might be the new. That might be your new command markers that you choose from. So, the important part. Infantry units. Alright, let's have a little look in here. So we got 1.5 sheets of counters, and these are all dual-sided. But the important part is that your opponent doesn't know what the other side is. So here, for example, we have light infantry, and we've got some heavy infantry, and it tells you their statistics on them. But what you do at the beginning of a scenario is, you know, it says like, oh, you have like 10 heavy infantry. Well, you shuffle all of these up and you draw 10 from them because some of them have 2 lines on the back, some of them have 1, and a couple of them don't. And this denotes whether or not a unit is considered brittle. And so, you know, you've got these big units that look scary up front, but maybe their morale isn't that great. And so they're a bit easier to break than some of the stronger units that are of the same type. But that's hidden from your opponent, so they're kind of just going in thinking, well, this is going to be miserable with all these heavy infantry, but they might, you know, they might have great equipment, but they might be battle-worn or tired, and, you know, or just their morale generally is low, so they're going to actually break a little bit easier than the really big ones. Now, you might draw all of the very strong ones, or you might draw all of the very weak ones. And so just from unit setup, you can get into some really interesting scenarios of how you lay out your units and stuff. It's extremely cool. Love it, love it, love it. So there's a bunch of different unit colors, and part of that is so that you can differentiate your different formations and keep them separate between the different wings as well. We have a number of cavalry units in this game as well, which is very nice. And I think we have, yeah, so I think we got some auxiliary units, it looks like, and then more cav, and I think these might be phalanx units, I think. I believe that I read that that's a new thing in this one, which is very cool. So yeah, sheet and a half of counters. You won't use all of them in each scenario, but there's 10 scenarios in here as well. Then we have the map, and this is the map. It is a big green rectangle with green squares on it. And what I will say is, technically you play it this way around, but what I will say is I judged this book by its cover when it was the first one. I saw the map and was like, okay, it's a green square with an overlay on it. Boy, how wrong I was. This game and this system, what I'll say is so cool and so interesting with what you're doing. The squares are just there to regulate play, that's all it is. And whilst it might not, it might not look the nicest, it serves its function well, and playing this game is so much more than a square grid. It really, really, really is. So don't let that stand in the way before you poo-poo it. Like, I could not be more excited to play this game, having played the first one. So, then we get a whole bunch of paper in this, and don't be, normally Hollandspiele games, you get a little rulebook, and you're done. This one has a little bit more in it, and once you start getting into it, you'll understand why. So we've got the rulebook here, and the rulebook, part of the reason that I feel like it's a much bigger rulebook than normal. I feel like the typeface that they've used is much, or the font size that they've used is much larger than it normally is in a lot of their rulebooks. And there's a significant number of color examples and pictures in it. And I just think they've really taken a step up with this game. And I really, 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 really appreciate kind of what this game has turned into. Because I think the original rules were like half this size, but it was also smaller. It's smaller font size. It didn't have quite the variety of full color examples like this. So this is going to be really, really, really helpful for you to just kind of dive on in and play. And you get the nice plate on the back as well, which is always a big plus. Then we get into the battle book. So this has our scenarios in it. So kind of what you would expect from something like a Commands and Colors title. We have a pictorial example of what the game is. So here we got 10 of these pink Hastati. We got 10 of the red Principes and 8 of the orange Triari. So there's no messing around of like how and where these set up. It's very, very clear, and they show you these are the squares that they go into. So I think there's 10 battles in here, and you've got your little scenario special rules as well. But yeah, this one actually has terrain, and I think the first one with it on it had nothing in it. I feel like it was smaller as well. That might not be the case. That might just be my bad memory, but some of those battles look much larger than the other ones. Now, this is what we're into this game for. This is one of the best parts about it. So this is a brief and digressive, but mostly accurate military history of the Roman Republic, comma, with jokes. So, if you've ever played any of Hollandspiele's games, Amabel's wit comes out in the rule books, and you'll have like bits and pieces here and there where there's it's very funny and her sense of humor comes through. Now we have an entire tome of military history with, oh gosh, well, let's look, because I think she's got it listed. Is it that many? It was like over 100 footnotes. Hence the joke about the footnotes. Annabelle Holland, the only game designer that can be trusted with footnotes. She spent so long doing this, and I'm sure it's actually a pretty decent piece of history. But I'm sure it also has like her, I don't know, very quintessential flavor in there as well, which I'm very excited for. I will, this is, and it's not small. This is 25 pages. I'm going to read the whole thing though, and partly of that is to educate myself about the battles that we're fighting over. Partly because I know this is going to be fun to read. So many history tomes and manuals are on the dry side, but that's what you get in the Grass Crown. There is a good chunk of paper in it, but the reality is this is not a complicated game. I will tell you that right now. I think when we first played with it or on it, and again, this is basically the same system, it probably took 10-15 minutes to learn, at most. It was so simple but the tactical choices that you're making with the little command orders that you choose, that dual-sided, is so interesting. Big box. Maybe I'll put them all into this. Maybe. I don't know if I'll do that. But, like, that's something you can do. There's plenty of space in here to stick the other map, rulebook, and counters in here, because that's frankly all you need. So, there's a lot to consider with this one. I'm very excited to play this. We will play this as soon as we're done with our World War I Guns of August event. But appreciate you guys tuning in. This is the Grass Crown from Hollandspiele. I've been Alexander for thePlayersaid.com.